Ever been in a situation where someone said something rude and before you knew it, boom, you were popping off at the mouth, you are ready to fight somebody, you are popping off like a firecracker on the 4th of July? I've been there. But what if I told you you don't have to hand over your piece over to someone else like it's free candy? We're diving deep into something that can change your entire vibe, your mood, maybe even your life. And I'm talking about the fact that I need for you to stop letting people's action determine your reaction. I always encourage you to take notes. So go grab your journal. If you do not have a journal, just open the notes app in your phone and let's get started. Let's talk about how you hold on to your emotional power. How you hold on to your emotional power. And we're going to do this the grace way. So, why does your emotional self regulation matter? I'm glad you asked. But what does it really mean? When someone treats you badly, they cut you off, they spread a rumor about you, or they give you major side eye in the hallway, your first reaction may be to clap back at them or internalize their pain. But when you react to every trigger, that leaves you emotionally drained and constantly playing defense. I don't want you to do that. Life is too short. So, what if instead of a reaction, I teach you how to respond? You're like, wait, a reaction, response. I promise you, they're two different things. They're two different things. When we're talking about emotional regulation, we're talking about when you react, that is impulsive. When you respond, a response is thoughtful. You're like, huh? All of this is centered around your emotional regulation. That is how you choose to show up, no matter how wild the world around you gets. There's a famous quote by Charles R. Swindoll, and that says that life is 10% what happens to you, and the other 90% is how you choose to react to it. I want to teach you how to react. I want to teach you how to respond in a thoughtful way so that you're not always reacting to a situation. So let's break it down. Let's talk about what reacting is versus what responding is. So we're going to talk about first reacting. Reacting is something that happens in the moment without thought, meaning somebody maybe slaps you and you slap them right back. That's a reaction. And I know some of you are saying, yes, yes, that's the response, right? That is what you should do. Reaction is usually driven by emotions such as anger, fear, embarrassment, a frustration, and oftentimes, a reaction makes the situation worse. For example, somebody calls you out in front of the classroom. You get angry, your face gets hot, and you just blurt out an obscenity or you blurt out a cuss word. That's a reaction. It is quick, it's defensive, and sometimes it leads to instant regret. Sometimes. Now, some people, who some people need a reaction from you, but not all persons. Let's talk about a response. Same situation, but a response involves a pause and a moment for you to think. You feel the emotion, but let me tell you what you don't do. You don't let that emotion rule you. Then you put yourself in control of how you speak and how you act. So, same situation. Someone calls you out in front of the class. Yeah, you're going to feel annoyed. So, I'm not telling you not to feel annoyed. That's not what this is about. You're going to feel annoyed. You might even be irritated by this individual, but instead of you cussing them out, which is the reaction, I want you to pause and say something like, I see what you're saying, but I have a different understanding. Or sometimes don't even say anything. Sometimes no is a complete statement. You don't have to feed that. Sometimes people want you to react negatively because they know that that thing they say is getting on your last nerves. And so, yeah, they want you to respond negatively. So sometimes a silent no is a complete sentence. A non reaction is a reaction of some sort. Because when you don't give into that, you immediately de escalate the situation. Got it? Okay. Now, why is this important? You see, how you respond or react builds your character, builds your reputation, it shapes your relationships, and defines your personal power. You never ever want to give away your power. As a high school assistant principal, that was the one thing I continue to drum into my students. Do not give away your personal power. When somebody's behavior causes you to react in a negative manner, you've just given them power over you. And once they know that they have that power over you, guess what they're going to continue to do? They're going to continue to do that thing that causes you to react negatively. Now, hear me when I say this. It doesn't mean that you don't feel things. It just means that you do not let those feelings boss you around. Remember when I taught you about naming your feelings? Name it so you can tame it. You can feel the feelings. Name it so that you can tame it. So let's talk about how we use the GRACE framework to help you react better. We're going to start with the G, which is gratitude. So I want you to start by asking, what am I grateful for in this moment, even when it is tough? It is tough right now, but what am I grateful for in this moment? Think about when someone is acting sideways. I want you to take a breath and I want you to reframe the situation. Okay, I am grateful that I have the power to choose my response. What gratitude does for you is it keeps you grounded. So I want you to remember that. Let's talk about reflection. Ask yourself, why did their behavior trigger me? And then, is this about me? Or are they projecting something from their own issues on me? That is why I like reflection so much. Because reflection is kind of like self awareness that allows you to just kind of pause before you respond or react. Y'all, I would say this 100 times. Do not hand over your peace to anyone just because someone else is struggling with theirs. Hear me clearly. Do not hand over your peace to anyone just because someone else is struggling with theirs. Their struggle is not your struggle. Okay? Their struggle is not your struggle. Choosing not to engage someone is a response. Number 3, affirmation. I need for you to work on your inner voice, to drown out whatever negative thing they've said about you. So I want you to try saying this. I don't have to react to everything that disturbs me. Remember what I said? Not everything deserves a reaction out of you. My peace is not for sale. I am calm, I'm in control, and I am centered. I used to teach my son to say, I am confident in any situation. I am calm in any situation. So I'm offering you the same affirmations because what that positive self talk does it puts the power back in your hands. Let's talk about the C in grace, which is connections. Talk it out, not to the whole group chat, to the whole neighborhood. So this is not like talking to everybody except the person who you have an issue with, right? I want you to find a mentor, a trusted friend that will not make the situation worse and talk to that person about the situation. Or you can journal a session with your future self. I want you to ask yourself, who in my circle of support can help me properly process this with clarity and not chaos? So find that person that will help you process whatever the situation is with clarity. Because remember what I told you before, you don't have to handle hard emotions alone. You don't have to handle it alone. Finally, empathy. How do you deal with these types of situations with empathy? What might they be going through? I want you to pause and consider that. What might that person be going through? This doesn't excuse their bad behavior, but it gives you the power to rise above it with compassion instead of conflict. So I hope that you have these 5 things down. Now, let me offer you some more tips for handling these types of situations. I've already said before, number 1, pause before reacting. Count to 10. Breathe. Give your brain a chance to catch up with your heart. Number 2, create a mantra and use a mantra. Something like, not everything deserves a response from me. Or, I choose peace. That's my mantra. Today, I'm choosing peace. And then I walk away from the situation. And that's actually number 3. Literally and mentally walk away from the situation when it gets heated. It is okay for you to disengage. Number 4, this one is going to be part of your homework. Role play your response in advance. Prep your calm response like it's a TikTok script. That way you're ready. Because remember, for me, I've had years and years of practice of how to not engage with foolishness. So I just choose not to engage. I walk away, both physically as well as mentally. And if this was some foolishness happening on the phone, I literally will tell somebody, the person who's with the foolishness, I will literally say, I'm going to hang up now. I'll let you know. I don't just hang up on people. I'm going to hang up now. And number 5, protect your energy. Y'all, I am big on protecting my energy. I've talked about setting boundaries before. Set boundaries. If someone is always pushing your buttons, it is time for you to love them from afar. You don't have to be in their presence. So those are the 5 tips. Let me reiterate the 5 tips. 1, pause before reacting. 2, use a mantra. 3, walk away, both literally as well as mentally. 4, role play your response in advance. 5, protect your peace, protect your energy at all costs. Now, here's today's challenge, or this week's challenge. I want you to think of a recent situation where someone's behavior pushed your buttons. Now, here's how I want you to journal about it. What was your initial reaction? What was that like? How could you have responded using the GRACE framework? And what can you do differently next time? Then create your own affirmations to keep you grounded the next time something or someone tries to steal your peace. Because they will try. Remember, y'all, peace is a choice. Yes, it is. And protecting your energy is your superpower. So stay rooted in grace. And until next time, stay graceful, stay growing, and remember, you got this.